Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending this session covering project portfolio management at a very high level. As there will be some acronyms used in the next slide, so I created a short summary for you here. But please don't hesitate to jump in and ask questions during our Q&A session if you still don't understand the terminology. SAFe, the first one, standing for Scale Agile Framework, is a set of organization and workflow patterns intended to guide enterprises in scaling lean and agile practices. Along with large-scale Scrum, LESS, and disciplined agile delivery, DAD, SAFe is one of the growing number of frameworks that seek to address the problems encountered when scaling beyond a single team, such as Scrum. The Scale Agile Framework was released in 2011 by Dean Leffingwell. Today, more than 20,000 organizations worldwide across a range of industries use SAFe, and more than 1 million people have been trained in SAFe. So it's really gaining traction in the market. ART, the next one, stands for Agile Release Train. It is a long-lived team of agile teams, which along with other stakeholders, incrementally develops, delivers, and where applicable, operates one or more solutions in a value stream. Effective arts typically consist of 50 to 125 people. The upper limit is based on Dunbar's number, which suggests a limit on the number of people with whom one can form effective, stable social relationships. PI, standing for Program Increment, is a time box during which an agile release train delivers incremental, tested, and deployable increment, and PIs are typically between 8 to 12 weeks long. WSJF, standing for Weighted Shorted Job First, is a tool for product professionals to prioritize significant items of work, such as epics, capabilities, and features. To calculate this, two key metrics are required: cost of delay, the economic value we are missing by not doing the change; job duration, elapsed time from the start of the job to sign off by the customer or stakeholder. To obtain cost of delay, first, you sum up the strategic parameters such as user business value, time criticality, risk reduction, opportunity enablement value, and they score each parameter by using the Fibonacci sequence between 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, etc. For job duration, you apply the same mechanic. So once you have the cost of delay and job duration, it's just a question of dividing cost of delay by job duration to obtain the WSJF score. So that you know, agile teams are using WSJF to order the priority of features in the backlog. Next one is OVS, Operational Value Stream. It is the sequence of activities needed to deliver a product or service to a customer. Examples include manufacturing a product, fulfilling an order, admitting and treating a medical patient, providing a loan, or delivering a professional service. Most employees in the enterprise work in operational value streams that serve the final customer directly. DVS is the development value stream, kind of sequence of activities needed to convert a business hypothesis into a digitally enabled solution that delivers customer value. Development value stream contains all the activities, people, systems, and the flow of information and materials needed to deliver value from definition stage to release. The other terminologies are kind of used globally across the board. I think you know some of them. PPM stands for Project Portfolio Management. LPM, this is Lean Portfolio Management of Scaled Agile Framework. RTE is a role, a release train engineer. Communities of practice is a group of experts in SAFE that provides knowledge to stakeholders. And APMO stands for Agile PMO, SM for Scrum Master, LACE is Lean Agile Center of Excellence, OKRs, absolutely everybody knows, objectives and key results. Some basic definitions still here, so that we have a good foundation for the slides to come. Portfolio, as described by PMBOK Guide, is a collection of projects, programs, and other work that is grouped together to facilitate the effective management of that work to meet strategic business objectives. The projects or programs of the portfolio may not necessarily be interdependent or directly related. Portfolio management is the centralized management of one or more portfolios, which includes identifying, prioritizing, authorizing, managing, and controlling projects, programs, and other related work in order to achieve specific strategic business objectives. Lean portfolio management in SAFE, it is a competency of a scale agile framework that aligns the strategy and execution by applying lean and system thinking approaches to strategy and investment funding, agile portfolio operations, and governance. It operates as a collection of value streams for a specific business domain, developing products or solutions for external customers, or again, for internal operational value streams. The common goal of LPM and PPM is that no matter how the work is being done, business strategy is indeed required, and the alignment between execution and strategy must constantly be in place. So let's get into some details here. As per the standard for portfolio management, third edition, the portfolio management starts with the vision, which drives the mission, organizational strategy, and objectives, and consequently, creation of the components to execute the delivery by using organizational resources. In the middle of this diagram, you can see the components of organizational context of portfolio management goals, starting with maintaining portfolio alignment and ending with managing risks. The most time-consuming and process-centric exercise in the traditional portfolio management is the snapshot on the right-hand side of the slide, which groups knowledge areas, process groups, processes, input, outputs, tools, and techniques, all required to holistically manage any portfolio. We will develop this diagram in the next slide. I can tell you, when I was preparing my PFMP certification with PMI, I spent long hours in learning all these components by heart. There is no way to successfully pass the exam if you don't know what happens in every knowledge area, process group, process, and consistently understand the required inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques. There are 5 knowledge areas, as you can see on this slide. You have portfolio strategic management, you have portfolio governance management, portfolio performance management, portfolio communication management, and finally, portfolio risk management. And you have 3 process groups. Defining process group, you define the foundation for your portfolio, and this becomes the backbone for the other process groups to come. So aligning process group, then, it covers how components are selected, introduced, and classified. It also should include up-to-date information on how components align with strategic goals and current operational rules. The approach actually here allows individual components to be evaluated while the portfolio is managed as a whole. The aligning process group is most active when an organization refreshes its strategic goals and set organizational budgets and plans. It could happen annually, quarterly, or more frequently, depending on the organizational structure. The last one is authorizing and controlling process group. That is where performance is reviewed. We look at the indicators and we monitor alignment with the strategic objectives. It has to ensure that the whole portfolio performs to predefined metrics set by the organization. Such metrics might include, for example, return on investment or NPV, net present value. And those metrics could also monitor performance by category or as an aggregate. Sometimes even individual portfolio components are tracked. I just wanted to give you as well some introductions on to kind of, those techniques and potential tools that can be used. I know 5 kind of frequent tools used in PPM. We have the cost benefit analysis. This is the ratio used to evaluate the risk versus reward in any component. The lower the cost and higher the benefits, the more likely a component is to succeed. We have a second one, which is decision tree analysis. This is a visual tool for qualitative analysis that is ideally suited to evaluate scenarios affected by many subjective factors. We have the scoring model. This is the analytical technique that bridges quantitative and qualitative factors of a decision with weights and scores. The technique creates a rational basis to prioritize components with the highest scores. We also have ACV. ACV stands for Estimated Commercial Value. It incorporates risk into a formula similar to net present value to evaluate the probabilities of success for commercial and technical components. The last one frequently used is objectives metrics. This method splits the high-level organizational strategy into multiple business objectives and aligns the scores for components as they align to each objective. The metrics allows for sub-goals to be factored in to create a nuanced way to evaluate projects against objectives. The lean portfolio management is one of the 7 core competences of lean enterprise, as shown here at the top. As per its definition, lean enterprise refers to a production principle stating that any component of a business enterprise that fails to directly benefit a final product is redundant. Lean enterprise focuses on value creation while eliminating waste and non-essential processes. SAFE actually holistically focuses on lean mindset and includes the SAFE House of Lean, consisting of foundation, called Lean Agile Leadership, a roof called Value, and 4 pillars such as respect for people and culture, flow, innovation, and relentless improvement. So the lean portfolio management, as we are going to cover here, has 3 dimensions. The first one is strategy and investment funding, and you have associated goals here. It has to ensure that the entire portfolio is aligned and funded to create and maintain the solution needed to meet business targets. And this dimension is supported by 3 main roles, including enterprise executives in charge of establishing a set of strategic themes in conjunction with portfolio stakeholders. You have the most important one here, enterprise architect, who establishes a technology strategy and roadmap that enables a portfolio to support current and future business capabilities. They drive design, engineering, reuse, application of patterns, and they also create enabler epics for the architectures that comprise the solution in a portfolio. We also have business owners in this dimension that can be many in the Agile release train teams and are the stakeholders for business, compliance, and technical aspect. Some of those business stakeholders who can be considered stakeholders possess the ability to make informed decisions and participate in a specific Agile release train events. Business owners are pretty much responsible for targeting business outcomes in Scaled Agile. They drive arts to create the right solution. They tell you about the solution's technical feasibility at the project level. They are involved in planning, but also overcoming obstacles and impediments. They authorize and defend a PI plan if they know they can't satisfy everyone. And they support the coordination activities with various departments and divisions in the company. Second dimensions of the LPM is the Agile portfolio operations. They coordinate and support decentralized program execution and foster operational excellence. It is supported by some roles and mixed functions such as Agile PMO, Lean Agile Center of Excellence, coupled with communities of practice for release train engineers and a Scrum Master to consume. And the third dimension is the lean governance. Here on the left, lean governments provide oversights and decision-making of spending, audit and compliance. They forecast expenses, and they put in place the measurements. So again, here is supported by three main roles, including, again, enterprise architect and business owners, working with the Agile PMO in charge of keeping the portfolio in sync across multiple arts. They establish objective metrics and reporting. They should also cultivate and apply successful execution patterns across the portfolio. Finally, on the right-hand side of the diagram, you can see a similar structure as in PMI, but quite lightweight, that we will develop in the next slide. The dimensional view of the LPM is very people-centric as opposed to the knowledge areas, process groups, and processes that we have seen in PPM. So again, you have the dimensions listed. You have the roles associated with dimensions, and then you have responsibilities, though they collectively hold those responsibilities together. So, in a strategy and investment funding, the roles and functions, they should kind of overarch those responsibilities together. The same happens for Agile portfolio operations, associated roles and associated responsibilities. The next one, lean governance, would also cover the responsibilities that are attached to the roles. So pretty much the dimensions and roles, they work together as a team to deliver the value. So that is less process-centric and more people-centric in Scaled Agile. So here you have now seen a little bit like what happens in the traditional portfolio management versus lean portfolio management. And I think it's quite important to say that while traditional portfolio management focuses on creating a set of tightly structured portfolio plans and building short-lived teams to execute those plans, LPM focuses on bringing loosely structured value opportunities to long-standing team of teams by asking teams to define the needed work. So SAFE puts the knowledge workers in the heart of the portfolio. I don't want to go over all the items listed here, but pretty much the first one is quite interesting because in Scaled Agile, we definitely decentralize portfolio management, and I know that in PPM we consolidate everything at the top, and we want to oversee everything from there. And we don't kind of delegate responsibilities to kind of local countries, for example, or local business units. So the other one that is quite important to mention is the last one there, the high work in progress, multitasking across projects. I came across this myself multiple times when I wanted to deliver components, and we had conflict of resources. I had to negotiate a lot with functional managers. But in lean portfolio management, there is this notion of continuous improvement as we do inspect and adapt every time we have finished with a PI. We make sure that we also look into the work in progress and improve the process going forward. This is also coupled with the Kanban that we use to identify bottlenecks and improve the flow as much as possible. I go to next one here. The more interesting part is that we can now map the organizational context of portfolio management to lean portfolio management of SAFE, as you can see here in the middle. And every component residing in PPM can be absorbed by a dimension in LPM, obviously. So effectively, we have a transition path to articulate and execute on to incrementally bridge the gap between the traditional portfolio management goals that you have seen in the fourth slide and various components of LPM. This can facilitate any discussions with the portfolio executives who might be a bit resistant in starting any transition to SAFE. Let's explore how traditional portfolio management goals are individually mapped to the components of LPM. So those goals that are listed here, for every goal, you have a correspondence in LPM. For example, maintaining portfolio alignment, this is covered by OKRs, strategic themes, value streams, portfolio vision roadmap, the Kanban and backlog for transparency, lean budgeting, and the meetings that we do to sync portfolio and review the strategic portfolio altogether. The other ones as well, allocating financial resources. We do the kind of rolling wave budgeting and also value stream budget, and lean budgeting again comes here. Human resources goes through the capacity allocation, and as well as when we look at the configuration of agile release trains. Same happens here for allocation of material and equipment resources. We use capacity allocation and arts. Measuring portfolio component performance in SAFE, we also have lean portfolio metrics that we can augment as needed. Managing risk in traditional portfolio management, we have risk responses and mitigations. In Scale Agile, we have a quadrant called ROM with resolve, on, accept, and mitigate as responses. So this one is the SAFE implementation roadmap. So this one is pretty much issued by Scale Agile, and all the SAFE practice consultants and Agile transformation leads, they use this as a guidance when they start implementing SAFE in organizations. It consists of 12 article series outlining a strategy and a sequential set of activities that have proven to be effective in successfully implementing SAFE. I know that the most important thing that I encountered when I was going through transformation, it was the first step here that you see, go SAFE. So this one is pretty much like workshop centric. You would need to make sure first that you have the mandate from the board members or key stakeholders and leaders before even initiating your SAFE journey. So that's where we typically, as SPC, I provide executive workshops, and I use the materials from Scaled Agile Framework to share with them the value of implementing SAFE. And I talk about lean, I talk about agility, I talk about the 7 core competences of lean enterprise, and kind of bring them across the introduction of what SAFE is really about. And once I have this mandate and what I call as well the guiding coalition, you have the momentum, then you can kind of start your other activities as you see on this diagram. You're going to be, bringing in the lean agile change agent with you, and then you're going to train them. You're going to give them training on how implementing SAFe. There are lots of certifications, as you can see on this diagram, that would need to be used and to be actually shared with many stakeholders, so that you can enable everybody to be part of the journey with you. So what also I want to say is those 12 steps are kind of mandatory. You can't skip any of those steps. And the other prerequisite for LPM, for example, is that you have already an organization that is SAFe-centric, and you have embedded SAFe, you have trained many people in the organization before even starting a journey of implementing lean portfolio management. So having all the other steps before even having your enhancement of the portfolio example here, you would need to go through a lot of enablement sessions and making sure that you have the change management in place as well. LPM implementation cycle that you see here is a reference paper available, and this is from Gartner. They recommend 3 development steps and key objectives to achieve adoption of LPM. It doesn't say all implementations would need to follow the same path, but it can be a good asset for aspirants. What I do, I will share this diagram and actually the deck with the participants here. To finish a little bit, I want to talk about my own experience, like transitioning from PPM to LPM of SAFe. I know that is not an easy journey. It entails a solid knowledge of the Scaled Agile framework first, and this has to be coupled with a bunch of change management, education, and awareness activities to smoothly expedite the journey. Many organizations right now are heavily working with the traditional project portfolio management processes and tools, and moving them from a waterfall mindset of managing a portfolio to a linear portfolio mindset can only be done in a gradual manner. It cannot be a big bang. And one of the things that I faced as well when doing the implementation of SAFe was the fact that the traditional portfolio management is focusing a lot on finance. So it's never easy to decentralize finance decision-making or budgeting. And that has been a big challenge for me when I went through the implementation. So fundamentally injecting business agility, which is the whole purpose of Scaled Agile, into an organization would certainly boost innovation in the current era of digital transformation, cloud computing, but there is a need for the right mindset to be infused in the organization, starting from the top. And this is what we collectively call guiding coalition as a prerequisite for change. And it doesn't only apply in agility journey, as we all know. As we are all, change leaders, we know that mobilizing executives and key stakeholders before initiating transformations to gain their buy-in and commitment, and preserving as well their engagement during and after the implementation lifecycle is key to the success of any change journey. The same applies when our journey consists of lifting and shifting the portfolio management function. So generally speaking, the challenges that are associated with the implementation of LPM are not caused by anything about the concept, but rather the challenges are around how an organization responds and adjusts to lean portfolio management. It is therefore essential that the decision to implement lean portfolio management principles and practices be taken by organizational leadership, that they actively support it, and that they engage with all business areas and the stakeholders in every step of the strategic process. Okay, so this was my last slide. Thank you for your time. And I will be now answering your questions offline. Thank you very much and see you next time.